ESPN on ABC, and coming up in just a moment's time, the #1 team in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Joe Pa and number 25 Penn State will try and knock them off on Saturday Night Football. John Saunders, Craig James, and Doug Flutie out to the game in just a moment. But has a dynasty fallen? USC losing for the second time this season. Remember the upset to Stanford today on the road? I don't think this is an upset. Oregon's Jonathan Stewart, 16-yard run.
Yes, the offensive line, though, at Oregon that really gave the opportunity for the offense to shine. Mark Sanchez at the end trying to bring the ball club back at USC. Oregon's defense steps up, made the play at home. Awesome crowd. Big-time plays.
Injuries have played a big part in the season thus far for USC, especially missing John David Booty. All right, tonight's game, #1 Ohio State. What do they have to do to stay there?
I think offensively, we've talked a lot about Ohio State's defense. We know that they're good, but offensively is where you have balance. And I think the run and the pass of Ohio State's offense is going to allow them to handle the pressure of that crowd, because you know Penn State's going to be jacked up.
That crowd's going to be big tonight. Morelli plays at home in front of that crowd, but he's got to be careful against this Ohio State defense. They lead the nation in 22 categories, either first or second in the nation. They take the ball away, 9 interceptions this year. Morelli, just be patient, take care of the ball, keep yourself in this ball game.
It's a whiteout at the stadium there in Happy Valley. The only two guys not wearing white. Let's join them now, Chris and Lee.
All right, John, thank you. Welcome back to an electric scene, a big part of the story tonight. Penn State taking the field behind us here. This is a very emotional team when they play at home. They're emotional coming off the bus. I'm going to be curious, Lee, to see which coach, because they're conservative by nature, is going to be bold enough on offense to make a big play against a tough defense, but not reckless enough to make a crucial mistake.
Well, first of all, when you're watching a ball game, there's a tremendous factor of the wind. It's over 20 miles an hour coming up from the north. It will affect the kicking game. I think it will affect the passing game, and it wouldn't surprise me if it makes this a very conservative game, low-scoring game. The team that forces the most turnovers wins this football game.
But will conservative calls get it done against tough defense? That wind is swirling, moving from left to right. Should be a factor tonight. 107,000 strong. Our #1 Ohio State take on Penn State right after this break.
This telecast available on ABC HD, presented by DLP HTDV. Well, another student whiteout, and look who's down there right in the middle of things. Lisa Salters. Lisa?
Well, Brent, what makes this whiteout so effective is that it is the largest concentrated student section in college football, meaning that while other colleges may allot more seats for students, they're spread out all over the stadium, not here at Penn State, all in one spot. 21,500 in the student section. And Dan Connor said, when you've got all these guys on your side, it actually makes you feel like you are better than you are when you're playing. You take more risk than you would ordinarily take. And Brent, just to give you an idea of how loud it is, Connor said in 05 against Ohio State, his helmet was actually rattling on his hand. He had to hold it down so he could think. And right now, I can't even hear myself.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. And last night at the pep rally, he fired him up. 80-year-old Joe Paterno. His team won the toss, elected to defer, so the Buckeyes will get the ball first. Jim Tressel will be calling plays with the slight breeze at his back, moving left to right here in the first quarter. And the left-footed Kelly gets us underway. Here's Maurice Wells back at the goal line, coming out for the Buckeyes. Down at about the 22-yard line, Kirk, and so we will now see Todd Beckman. What do we make of him so far?
Todd Beckman in his first year as a starter replacing Troy Smith, 23 years old in his first year as a starter, leads the Big Ten in passing efficiency. He has shown up to this point in 8 games to be very poised and make a lot of good decisions for Jim Tressel in this Ohio State offense.
Number 28. A budding star is at tailback. Chris Beanie Wells. Size, speed. Coaches say he blocks well. Gets the first call of the game. And for a couple of yards. And now to introduce us to the Ohio State offense, here's their Heisman Trophy winner from a year ago. Now with the Baltimore Ravens, Troy Smith.
This year's quarterback is Todd Beckman. He throws the ball to the two Bryans, Hartline and Robisky. The tailback this year is Chris Beanie Wells, who is backed up by two Outland Trophy candidates, Alex Boone and team captain Kirk Ball.
All right, Troy, here's your offense coming up now. Ravens have an off week. 2nd down and 8 for the Bucks. First pass of the game, wide open in the middle. And it's Robisky.
Penn State here early with the crowd behind them, going with some pressure. They bring the blitz from the outside. They play zone behind it. It gives you an idea of the poise from Todd Beckman. Has time to throw, makes a great read, and splits the corner, Justin King, and the safety, Anthony Scarrato. A nice throw to Brian Robisky early in this game.
Last week, Indiana attacked Justin King with the 6'6" James Hardy. 14 catches, 142 yards. Here's a 27-yard gain to start the game. They go right out after that left corner. Now the quick pass on the other side to Hartline. Robisky and Hartline, two of the better receivers in the Big Ten. And now let's meet the Penn State defense. Here's their former Heisman Trophy winner, John Cappelletti. I'm sorry, we got a little problem. We'll get back to that piece of tape shortly. Right now we have 2nd down. There's Hartline, number 9. He and number 80, Robisky, two very talented wide receivers. Beanie Wells gets the 1st and 10 against the middle of that Penn State defense. Sean Lee, number 45, one of their talented linebackers. Kirk made the stop.
Everybody wants to see how Beanie Wells will respond in this football game. Last week, career highs, 31 carries, 221 yards against Michigan State. Had a big run early to help create some momentum. His power tonight, along with the combination of throwing from Beckman, is central for the Bucks.
You would agree with me. Ohio State would dearly love to get on the board first and deflate this drive.
Absolutely. This drive is important.
Beckman's in the gun. Gets a great block by the left side of the line, then throws it away. So it will be 2nd down and 10.
Ohio State has had a history this year of scoring early and often. In fact, they've had 6 straight games where their opening drive, they've taken it down and scored points. The last 5 games, they've scored touchdowns. One thing they've done a good job of is winning the first quarter. 80-2 advantage. If that trend continues tonight, it gives the Buckeyes a huge lift with this crowd.
Kirk Barton, the right tackle. Alex Boone's over on the left. 2nd down and 10. Play signal in from Jim Tressel's sideline. He's on the near side with the Buckeyes. From under center, pocket holds up beautifully, but well short to Robisky, his 2nd reception of the game. And there is Justin King, and now we know that Justin King is going to track Robisky. Just as he did against Hardy, they're going to move number 1 around and tail number 80.
Justin King welcomes the opportunity. He took a lot of heat this week after James Hardy had 14 catches and 142 yards. He seemed to take all of the blame. They were in zone coverage most of the time, but he took a lot of heat. He's ready for tonight's game.
Here's the 3rd down. That base 4-3 look from the Nittany Lions. Incomplete and batted away. And Sean Lee, the junior from Pittsburgh, who some say, yes, Dan Connor is deserving of the credit he receives, but Lee is in the same league as Dan Connor.
What an intense competitor, number 45 in blue. You'll see him all night tonight. He's known as a tackler because he leads the team in tackles, but this gives you an idea of what a great athlete he is, coming around Hartline and knocking the ball away.
So here comes the long field goal. A 50-yard attempt for Pretorius with the wind at his back. Buckeyes trying to get on the board. Looks long enough. 3-0 on a 50-yarder. Ryan Pretorius lifts the Buckeyes to a 3-point lead. Oh, the kicking game. Joe Pa knows how important that'll be here tonight. Buckeyes strike first with a long field goal to go ahead of the Nittany Lions. And now it'll be the Lions' turn here coming up. A couple weeks ago, when we were at Purdue, Jim Tressel switched to his punter, A.J. Trapasso, as his kickoff man. And with that wind at his back, you would think this has a chance to be a touchback here and come out on the 20-yard line. Let's see what happens. It's going to be returned. Scooped up on one hop at the 9-yard line. And out to the 22-yard line where the Nittany Lions will put it in play. Now here comes their quarterback, Anthony Morelli, Kirk.
Brent, strong arm, pocket passer. In 2 years as a starter, as you can see, he's had a lot of ups and some downs. I think he comes into this game needing to start fast. I think his confidence early in the year was shattered when he lost on the road against Michigan and against Illinois. Didn't play all that well against Iowa. Talking to him on Thursday, he's so eager to start fast and to get his confidence, not only going in himself, but to get the offense to believe that he's going to be on fire tonight, making good decisions.
That fullback 38 is a story. Dan Lawler has replaced the injured Matt Hahn. Big loss. And behind him is Rodney Kinlaw. He is the tailback. A couple of weeks ago, Austin Scott was suspended, so Kinlaw and Evan Royster are now the tailbacks. Short drop. Here's Williams with his first reception. And it'll be marked a couple of yards. And now, let's go to the former Heisman Trophy winner to introduce the Penn State offense. And here is John Cappelletti.
On offense, it all starts with senior quarterback Anthony, the Don of distribution, Morelli. He'll be getting the ball to a very talented wide receiver group, including Derek Williams. At running back, look for a young but exciting Rodney Kinlaw. And anchoring the offensive line, veteran center A.Q. Shipley. As Keith Jackson would say, he's a good one.
He said that a few times about you, John. A good one. And there's Morelli. Snaps it off. First down. Jordan Norwood makes his first grab of the evening.
The one thing I love about this group of wide receivers at Penn State, you look at them from the top to the bottom and you see just great athletic ability, but this shows you an unselfishness that I really appreciate. Number 4 on the inside, Golden. He's bigger, he's more physical. He came up with a big block to spring his teammate Jordan Norwood loose for the big gain.
Kirk, I think you would agree what the Nittany Lions have to have here tonight. First downs.
First down.
Just think first downs against this very outstanding defense. Only 4 offensive touchdowns in 8 games against this group, folks. That's remarkable. And you can see how well that is defended by Chikwa in the nickel defense. So he came up and made the play on Terrell Golden.
Talked about what Anthony Morelli might need. A few easy passes to get him going. They've had 3 plays, 3 passes. That's how you get a quarterback to settle down and to get him to be able to find his rhythm early in the game. And you can see when he's in rhythm and he gets his feet underneath him, Anthony Morelli can make every throw on this field.
Let me correct myself. That was Williams on that far side. He's made 2 catches here tonight. Here's Kinlaw for the first time. Short of the 1st and 10. And our lineups presented by Dell. And let's have Troy Smith introduce the Buckeye D.
On the D-line this year, junior Vernon Golston leads the Buckeyes front 4. For the linebackers, all 3 are great, especially 2007 Buckeyes and Lombardi Award semifinalist James Laurinaitis. To lead the Buckeye secondary is another great Ohio State cornerback in Malcolm Jenkins.
All right, Troy, and that defense now trying to dig in here against a 3rd and 2. Kinlaw, first down, breaks past midfield into the secondary to the 34-yard line. Rodney Kinlaw behind the right side. Kirk, they got a huge hole.
Ohio State on 3rd and short, Brent, elected to go with nickel. 5 defensive back, 3 down linemen. They bring the blitz from the outside in the corner. Chekwa, he's late, but what a great hole by the offensive line. A double team there on Golston. They got up to Laurinaitis, opening up a nice seam, and gives you an idea of what Rodney Kinlaw can do when he has a seam.
Kirk, that's a 21-yard gain. I've got to tell you something. Andrew Corliss, number 10, remember his number. He was in blocking, helped lead that play. Good play fake by Morelli. Looks downfield, got a man open to the 5-yard line. And there is Corliss. A big-timer waiting to happen.
My man Brent says, watch out for number 10, and Corliss makes a play the very next play. Lined up as a tight end. When you start to get a little bit of a rhythm going as an offense, Corliss lines up as a tight end, perfect, right in the middle of your screen. The play action throws the Ohio State linebackers enough for Morelli to get outside and allow Corliss to get behind the linebackers between the safeties. Nice game.
A very big first and goal this entire series. The Nittany Lions seeing if they can finish. Lob incomplete, and it'll be second down and goal. So getting to the 5 against this defense is one thing, and now the Nittany Lions have to finish or they're going to be deflated. If they settle for a field goal, it won't be good enough for the morale on that far sideline after that.
And Brent, that is something that has hurt this team all year. Now they're pretty good as far as executing in the red zone, 37 to 42 as far as points, but one of the worst in the conference. They're 9th in the conference and coming away with touchdowns when they're down in the red zone. You're right. From an emotional standpoint, they need 6.
Kenlaw battles between the 1 and the 2-yard line. It's going to be third and goal. Kurt Coleman and Marcus Freeman making the stop for the Bucks.
Ohio State defense facing some adversity early in this football game. Only allowed 4 touchdowns the entire year. Jim Haycock, the defensive coordinator, trying to fire his troops up. Big third down.
Remember, it's Dan Lawler's the new fullback instead of Matt Hahn. They're in ISO territory. Here comes Kinlaw. Touchdown, Penn State. Behind the left side, Ornberger and Cadogan. Did he do the job, Mr. Lawler?
I was pointing to you, just saying Dan Lawler, 38, who stepped in for Hahn. We wondered how he'd hold up. He just put Marcus Freeman on his back to open up that hole for a touchdown.
Here's Kelly. Now that's impressive. And the wideout is alive and well. It could be a long night in the office for the #1 team in the country. We'll see you when we come back.
Why wedding? Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines' convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane. Visit southwest.com. Cadillac, introducing the all-new 2008 Cadillac CTS. Verizon Wireless. And Taco Bell. Think outside the bun.
The rally in the Valley began last night, and the 80-year-old said, look at that, I'm as spry as a spring chicken. Amazing. Chopar. He leads the #1 team in the nation right now. 7-3. Small and Maurice Wells back deep. Kelly to kick it off. Against this wind, it should be returnable, and a great leg. Having said that, he booms it to the end zone. Let's go back to that touchdown, Herbie.
Well, they finished this drive off just the way they wanted to. It's just going to be a kick down block from Golden in the offensive line, but the big block here is from the fullback who has stepped in, Lawler. Watch him go right through #1, Marcus Freeman, one of the more physical linebackers for Ohio State, and opened it up. Not only is it a touchdown, it keeps the crowd into the game after the Ohio State field goal, and it sends a message early in the game to the most dominant defense up to this point in college football, Ohio State.
Now let's see what Trussell elects to do here. Beanie Wells is the lone running back. An H-back look. We'll run behind the power side of the formation. And let's get our first update of the evening. Here's Matt Weiner. Matt.
South Carolina in Knoxville tonight. Tennessee has a 7-0 lead thanks to an Arian Foster touchdown run. They always get fired up when Steve Spurrier is in town. And on ESPN2, unbeaten Kansas has failed to convert a couple of field goals in College Station. They've gone to the half. Goose eggs on the board between the Jayhawks and Texas A&M.
Chuck Jayhawk. Who would have thought we'd be saying that during a football season? Mark Mangino doing a heck of a job there. 2nd down and 4. Beanie muscling toward that first down marker that you have on your screen. We'll see where they spot it.
You know, with Florida today getting upset by Georgia down in Jacksonville, that game tonight on ESPN takes on a whole new meaning in the SEC East. The winner of that game will control their own destiny between South Carolina and Tennessee. So that is a big game tonight in the SEC.
So Tennessee is still alive then?
Absolutely. With Florida losing. A lot of teams have been losing the last few weeks, but now that the dust is settled, tonight's game, the winner controls his destiny.
We were talking about that today, and we really couldn't figure that out. I'm glad you told us that. 3rd down and 1 now for the Bucks. Beckman will come up under center. Deontay Johnson is the lead fullback. It could be ISO time for the Bucks. Instead, Beckman, who is 6'5" and 243 pounds, keeps it himself for the first down.
You know, Jim Tressel in the opening drive came out. They had 7 plays. They ran the ball 3 times, decided to throw it 4. He has a reputation of being very conservative in these kind of conditions. But what we've seen from Jim Tressel this year when they've been on the road at Washington, when they were on the road at Purdue, not afraid to take chances with a first-year quarterback in Beckman and his taller group of wide receivers, especially downfield, to take some chances.
They practice the silent count in Columbus all week. They'll go on the ball being snapped. Beckman going to air it out deep here. Small, got it. Just as you said, Kirk, he's going to wait for his chances. Strike deep like they did against Purdue. It's inside the 10-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal.
You called one last drive. We hit another one here. And you know what it is? It's about protection. Giving Todd Beckman time to throw. This is his most comfortable throw in his arsenal, is getting it downfield, one-on-one. Ray Small, who's been emerging as a go-to guy for the Buckeyes against Lydell Sargent. He gets behind him, and it's a great throw by Beckman.
60-yard gain. 1st and goal. Just the kind of long pass that he showed against Purdue.
Absolutely.
In that first quarter.
Absolutely. I just said Jim Tressel not afraid to put the ball in his hands. Great teams answer and respond when they're on the ropes. Let's see what Ohio State does here.
From the shotgun. And before the snap. And let's see now.
False start.
False start.
Number 28
There's the first
offense.
One. That's the running back. Beanie Wells.
Still 1st down.
Can't make a false step in a situation like that. This is a critical 5-yard penalty against the Buckeyes. Now, I want to tell you folks that the center for Ohio State and Tressel is some story. Jim Cordell is going to come up, and you're going to see him snap left-handed. There's an injured right hand. He's a right-hander. Jim Bowman told me he's never had a player able to do this. Simply go to the left hand, like you see right here, and he will snap it perfectly. It's been remarkable the last few weeks for the Buckeyes. Beckman takes off. He's short of the 5-yard line, and that's Sean Lee making another stop. But back to this story of Cordell. They're going to have a little special brace on the right hand next week. I asked Jim Tressel, is he going to go back to right hand? He said, we don't know. He's done so well left-handed. He said Purdue didn't even notice it. They didn't shade anybody. They didn't attack that hand. But he said Kent State did. They knew what was going on.
What's going on in Columbus? First, you have Greg Oden with the right hand. He shoots the free throws with the left, and now they've got a center snapping with the left.
Right, that's right. It's the all-hands center. Bye-bye. 2nd down now. Beckman's got protection, fires end zone, touchdown Buckeyes. Terry Robisky. And King says, wait a minute, what's happening here again?
Well, last week, James Hardy went over top of Justin King. This time, it's a fade stop, a design play to throw back to the backside shoulder of Brian Robisky. The amazing thing there is the ball is thrown before Robisky starts to come back. That is a perfect throw by Beckman.
The amazing thing to me is he listened to Daddy. When you're going to push off, real son of a absolutely. To go for it, huh? Oh, yeah.
Learn from the best, right?
His daddy, who still coaches in the NFL, talks to Terry every week, and what a receiver he's become. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
For today's City coaching moment, we look back to 2002 when Jim Tressel and Ohio State faced a late season test against Purdue. Down by 3 under 2 minutes to go, Coach Tressel decided to go for it all. Quarterback Craig Krenzel found Michael Jenkins for the game-winning touchdown. The victory catapulted Ohio State to an undefeated season and their first national championship in 34 years.
Well, Kirk Herbstreit, Lisa Salters, and Brett Musburger went to a defensive battle in the Big Ten, and an offensive shootout broke out. It's 10-7. First quarter, Ohio State leading as they regain the lead on the touchdown pass to Robisky.
We keep talking about the emotion of this stadium and the student section and how tough it is for a visiting team. Ohio State takes the ball twice, comes away with 10 points. It was very, very important on that drive after Penn State went the length of the field and got a touchdown for Ohio State. The answer, and they did a good job.
Trapasso. And Williams deep in the end zone, coming out on the 20. That's what he wanted the first time. Let's go back to that touchdown.
Well, this is great timing and a lot of practice between a wide receiver and a quarterback. Watch right here. The ball is thrown, and look at Robisky before the push and before he gets open. The ball is thrown to a spot, and he breaks away, perfectly thrown away from the defender. And there's nothing that Justin King can do there, or any other defensive back for that matter.
That was so well done by Robisky. The separation. And King is probably still muttering to himself over there.
Yeah.
He pushed me. He pushed me.
Well, he's had a tough week.
Oh, man.
He's heard a lot about it.
Not going to get any easier tonight. It's Mr. Robisky, I might add. First down and 10 now. Let's see if Morelli and the offense can answer again. Here comes Kinlaw finding gaps. You know, the coaches here said, you know, you guys are all talking that, yeah, we've lost Austin, but don't look past Kinlaw and Evan Royster. These guys are good runners.
Well, I think they've become a better running team from the Michigan game and the Illinois game to where they are now. I think Kinlaw comes in. He's quick. He's shifty. Royster, as a redshirt freshman, gives him a north and south runner, more powerful. But the continuity up front, I think, has put this offense in a different position later in the year.
The senior John Shaw was able to start tonight at right guard. There was an injury at that position, and he's been doing a terrific job over there. There's a penalty flag down on this play. You could see it thrown on the far side. And Lamagnier and the Big Ten crew here is a good officiating crew here tonight, and this game deserves it. There's going to be some heavy action down in that pit area between these two. So that'll bring him back, and the Nittany Lions will come back around the 20-yard line here.
Illegal formation, offense, only 6 men on the line, 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
One of those mental blunders, huh?
You got to avoid mental mistakes, both teams. This is one of those games where the margin of error is so slight for Penn State, playing the number one ranked team in the country. Yeah. They've got to do the little things to give themselves a chance to stay on schedule. You don't want 2nd and 11 and 3rd and long against this Buckeye defense.
By the way, I got to give you a lot of credit. You were the first person in the country this side of Mike Bellotti to really rate Oregon that high. And today they pick off USC up in Eugene. They're a factor the rest of the way. BCS championship, Pac-10 championship, Rose Bowl. The Ducks are in the thick of it.
They are. I've had them up at in the top 5 really for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I thought they'd struggle against USC, but give them all the credit. Dennis Dixon needs to be a top front runner for the Heisman Trophy.
He's in there now. 2nd down and 11 now. And here's Morelli handing off again. Kinlaw, huge hole in the middle. 1st and 10, and you're left wondering where is number 33, James Laurinaitis.
Laurinaitis and Freeman right now are getting caught up in a lot of traffic by the Penn State offensive line. Great blocking up front. Ornberger, the left guard. Cadogan, 76, comes through and picks up Freeman. Requires a safety to come up and make a play. This is something we've not seen all year from Ohio State's defense. Gaping holes and allowing backs to run through.
That's another 14 yards.
Yep.
Galen Hall doing a heck of a job of calling plays. And a play fake is beautiful. But Morelli couldn't find anybody wide open. But what a play fake. He hooks it for the first down. Fumble at the end of it. Loose ball. And the Nittany Lions recover it. Oh, a great save on the far side. Marcus Freeman jarred that ball loose from the quarterback. And looks like Andrew Corliss saved the day.
When you take a chance like this and you sell a fake this hard to the wide receiver coming around, you're hoping to get Anderson Russell in the safety to bite up. It's a do-or-die play. Typically, you're not going to be able to take off and scramble. The Buckeyes covered it downfield and left him with room to run. Morelli gets hit, but Penn State right there that time with Corliss to recover it.
That was amazing that no one was open. That was just tremendous ball fake. And
how about the
like you said,
Morelli there?
And then the Bucks didn't close down on that side of the defense. Morelli comes back, fires incomplete. Pass is dropped by Corliss. He's probably exhausted.
You talked about Corliss being a factor. He's a young sophomore, still learning about his potential. 6'5", 250 pounds. Came into the game with 9 receptions. When we talk to the coaches, they tell us that not only is he very gifted as a receiver, he's physical as a blocker. It's just a matter of him continuing to be committed and understand what he is capable of doing. He's off to a good start tonight.
You bet. Second down. Kinlaw not going anyplace this time. Marcus Freeman read that perfectly and made the stop.
You know, Anthony Morelli, we've talked so much earlier this morning about how is he going to respond today. This is him coming into the stadium. Let's go! Morelli, before Joe Paterno gets off the bus, and he can't wait. Usually you're going to let the 80-year-old head coach walk off the bus first, but 14's like, Coach, I love you, but I'm ready to play this football game, and he's showing some emotion tonight with the way he's played.
Joe doesn't mind getting off second.
Completes a few passes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They're down in 12. From the gun, Morelli in a foot race. Golston coming from behind. There is Vernon Golston, the junior from Detroit, having an all Big Ten kind of season.
That time, Vern Golston moving around, trying to confuse the Penn State defensive line. He was lined up here, he ends up here, and then he comes around to chase down Anthony Morelli. Look at the confusion. Penn State didn't even see him. He's the best pass rusher that Ohio State has, but by confusing the offensive line, they weren't even aware of him moving around to the left. Nice stunt that time.
So Jeremy Boone punting for the first time for the Nittany Lions. Drops it inside the 5. It'll be down at the 7-yard line. Jeremy Boone buries the Buckeyes. And a reminder, folks, that near the end of the game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. And Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund. Oh, that kicking game, already the Buckeyes, they've had a 50-yard field goal tonight. Now, Penn State responds with a terrific punt.
And we'll see how Ohio State responds now, backed up inside their own 10. As we said, their first 2 drives have been textbook for what they wanted to accomplish with a field goal and then the long pass that set up the touchdown.
They've got Whaley in at fullback. He leads the way for Beanie this time, who picks up about 3 yards against the left side of the Nittany Lion defense. The Lions have lost a couple of key defensive linemen this season, but Jim Tressel thinks they're still the deepest that he's seen in the conference. But they're going to miss. Penn State is really going to miss Jerome Hayes. He tore an ACL against Wisconsin. And Jared Odrick, he injured a right ankle against Indiana. And neither of them can return for Joe Paterno for the rest of the season. So 2 big losses against his defense. Second down now. See that base 4-3, the familiar look. Draw play, Beanie Wells tried to get the corner and was wrestled down by Lydell Sargent coming up from the cornerback spot.
Start to talk about the injuries on Penn State and what they've sustained. Look at the depth chart of both these teams. Dan Connor, the only senior on the defense for Penn State. And, of course, Anthony Morelli is the only senior starter for the offense. And Ohio State on the other side. They've got a senior at right tackle in Kirk Barton and only 1 senior on their defense in Harry Grant. Talking about 4 seniors playing tonight. 2 very young teams.
Well, here's 3rd and 4. Beckman hits Small for the first down. Ball will be marked just outside the 20-yard line as the first quarter comes to an end. And there it is. The Buckeyes lead at 10-7. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines will return after this message and a word from our ABC station. Whiteout continues, but the #1 team in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes, lead it after one quarter, 10-7 over Penn State. Buckeye ball, 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line, and Beckman now with the other way. Mo Wells, the junior from Jacksonville. You can recognize him with that hairdo of his as he picks up the rush man, and Beckman picked up a couple 3 yards. In our Pacific Life game summary, and Kirk, you think it's run one side, but big pass for Ohio State.
Yeah, I think the play calling by Jim Tressel has been very aggressive and very balanced. It doesn't show necessarily in the numbers where they only have 36 yards rushing. Todd Beckman could not have started any better than the way he started in the first quarter. 6 yards passing. He's in rhythm. He's feeling very confident. That time he was flushed from the pocket.
That's Kinlaw, who's doing a good job offensively. He has 45 of their 60 rush yards. On the other side, there was movement down in the trench, and Maurice is short of the first down, but apparently there was not enough movement to bring a flag. At least I don't see it.
You know what's crazy there is the center snapped the ball, and the left tackle, Alex Boone, couldn't hear the snap count, so he just stayed there. They're right in front of the student section right now.
You got to look at the ball, and the defensive ends in Penn State, they want the tackles to look at them. They're trying to distract them.
That time they looked at him because Alex Boone was a statue.
It's tough in noise now for the offense. They don't move on a count, man. They watch that ball.
Right in front of the
lineman looking down a little bit now. Beckman steps up. 1st and 10, Rory Nickel.
Well-designed play here on 3rd down, and again, Ohio State's offensive line giving Todd Beckman, who's in rhythm right now and feeling very comfortable, time to throw by getting downfield with their receivers. It opened up a big hole underneath, and Brandon Sane that time, a tailback lining up at wide receiver, took enough of Sean Lee's attention away to open up the hole for Nickel.
Deep drop. Beckman going to air it out small again. Incomplete. Scarrato was back deep, and then he appeared to slip, Kirk. Number 7 went down on the ball.
And Scarrato is one of the better center field free safeties in the Big Ten. This time, Penn State bringing more pressure than they have the previous 4 or 5 plays. Scarrato right there, Brent, as you said, it comes right into your picture, but he goes down. Penn State fortunate that Small did not come away with a big catch. But Ohio State, again, testing Penn State vertically with their speed at receiver.
And Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator, said that Beckman throws the best deep ball that they've looked at. They come back with a draw play, and Mo Wells close to the 1st down. Sean Lee, number 45, he is really active. And there is Tom Bradley, the fine defensive coordinator here.
He is doing a great job this year with this young defense, and this gives you an idea of why this is so important when you mix up play calling. You get the linebackers back. The line does a good job in the D-line, and there's 2 very talented linebackers who drop back into pass coverage and then have to start to go into chase mode to chase down Maurice Wells.
And Kirk Licker's back at tailback, Beanie Wells. 3rd and 1, they show ISO. And here it comes. 1st and 10 for the Buckeyes. And in a game like this, you can't emphasize enough how important 1st downs are. You know, I think that's one of the most underrated statistics in all of football. When you look at final scores and the line score, very seldom do you see a team that doesn't lead in 1st downs win a game. Now it happens, I know. But
turnovers sometimes come into play.
Turnovers would be the other one.
But in college football, Brent, where emotion plays such a big part and momentum plays such a big part, 1st downs really help the confidence of football teams.
And now Brandon Sane has also checked in. He's a fine receiver. Beanie breaks for 9 yards on 1st and 10. Let's see what's going on around the country. Let's check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Brent, Taco Bell update. You guys talked about it earlier. That SEC East is wide open. Florida's loss helps Tennessee, and Tennessee helping themselves against South Carolina. They converted a couple of turnovers into touchdowns. Then Eric Ainge hits Josh Briscoe. He's completed passes to 8 receivers already. Virginia's 7-game win streak is over. Tom O'Brien gets an ACC win at NC State.
And back here, Matt, second down and short. Beanie picks up another 1st and 10 for Ohio State.
Go back to the previous play. You touched on Brandon Sane, who's one of the fastest tailbacks that Ohio State has right here. And here's the fullback, Beanie Wells. He's going to lead block. You know what that tells me? That Jim Tressel right now has his offensive staff looking to see how they're responding to Brandon Sane, and eventually they're going to go to a wheel route and throw the ball to him out of the backfield.
Here's a memo. Penn State's ready for that.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
They said that Sane runs
move him around
very well as a receiver. You see, he's over there to the right. He danced through the formation. He actually was a lead blocker for Beanie on that play. And there's Robisky again, just shy of the 10-yard line. This is a very good-looking drive.
Absolutely. Again, mixing up the play calling. This time you're going to see great patience from the quarterback. Look at Robisky and how polished he is as a route runner. Justin King, one of the top corners, respecting Robisky's ability to get vertical, has to give him enough of a cushion. And right now, Ohio State on this drive trying to go underneath the cushion. Good route and a great throw that time by Todd Beckman.
So 20 yards more for number 80. Buckeyes threatening to put another one on the board. Incomplete. And the second down and 10. Hartline, who has not caught a ball tonight, was the intended target that time.
I don't know if Jim Tressel got the memo that he's supposed to be a conservative play caller. My gosh. I think he's more aggressive this year with a first-year starter in Todd Beckman than he was last year with Troy Smith as a Heisman Trophy winner. He really is aggressive.
It is possible that this offense is going to be better than last year's by the end of the season. Now, remember now, I said possible. But I am very impressed with what I see with this team. This could be a great running back, Beanie Wells. Beanie Wells has told the staff, the SID staff at Ohio State, that he wants to win the Heisman Trophy. He's come to the right place, and in a couple years, if he keeps it up, like Eddie George, he's going to get his shot.
Well, in the last few weeks, and really in the entire year, his ankle and the health of his ankle has been an issue. He told the trainers on Sunday after the Michigan State game, where he had a career-high 31 carries, it's the best his ankle has felt all year after a football game, and so far, he has not limped off with the ankle bothering him.
Toss play. Beanie picks his daylight. Touchdown, but a penalty flag. Let's see if holding brings this back. Kirk, is that what you think there was down there?
Looked like Kirk Barton, the right tackle, locked up on Chris Baker, number 93. Tried to get away with one. He was right in the middle of the play, and a great call by the umpire.
We know hand signal this time.
Holding.
Beckman was over with Tressel.
74, offense. 10 yards, previous spot, 3rd down.
And Kirk Barton, the coaches for Penn State, they were looking at the thing, and they said, Barton, he's been at Columbus 10 years.
The only senior on the offense. He was in here 2 years ago in 2005, and he knows all about this crowd and what this student section is like.
So the penalty brings it back, makes it 3rd down and 14. Maurice Wells is the tailback. Beckman play action, throws Hartline. Hartline's got field ahead of him. Touchdown, Ohio State. He got in behind big Alex Boone. And Alex, the junior from Lakewood, Ohio, leads him into the end zone. His first catch of the night is a 6-pointer.
With a left guard raring and the left tackle, Alex Boone get out and come up with a couple of blocks. Well-designed play. Ohio State set that up perfectly. All the action looked like it was going to the right towards the field off of the play action, and they throw it back to another wide receiver in Hartline, who's got tremendous speed, and he finds his way into the end zone. Seen all 3 of the receivers tonight make plays.
They tack on the extra point. So Pretorius makes it 17-7. And folks, this is a real quiet whiteout. You're watching ESPN on ABC. Well, the Buckeyes, after falling behind 7-3, have put 2 unanswered touchdowns up on the board. We've got 9:53 remaining here in the first half, and they have scored on a 16-yarder on 3rd and 14.
And Jim Tressel tonight making it very clear that he wants to come out and assert his offense. What a balanced attack, mixing up the play calling to perfection in those first 3 drives.
Williams and Wallace are back deep. El Paso. Here comes Williams. And he is down at the 22-yard line. And let us go quickly to New York and Matt Weiner. Matt.
All right, Brent, let's get you caught up with this SportsCenter Minute powered by Vizio. Preakness winner Curlin cruised to a 4.5-length win into the winner's circle at the Breeders' Cup Classic. Robbie Alvarado was aboard. The winning ticket paid $10.80. And USC is, for all intents and purposes, out of national title contention. Matthew Harper sealed it with his second pick of Matt Sanchez late in Eugene. Ducks win scoreless Game 3 in Denver of the World Series.
All right, Matt, thank you. And here the Nittany Lions. Anthony Morelli under center has Evan Royster on the field for the first time tonight. Play fake. Morelli got to see if he can answer. Throws short and underneath to Norwood, and Norwood dives for the first down. Nice run by number 24.
All their wide receivers bring something a little bit different to the table. This time Norwood shows that he's the shake and bake guy. Nice catch and some nice moves there to pick up some extra yards.
Well, the Nittany Lions need to get the ball downfield. I mean, they're not can't always count on Norwood picking up 6, 7 yards.
I think they have to maintain their patience. Still 9 minutes to go in the second quarter. They can't get crazy throwing it downfield too much.
First down and 10. And they let Royster carry it for the first time tonight. And Laurinaitis in on that tackle. And let's check in down below with Lisa.
Well, Brent, as you know, Austin Scott suspended from the team since being charged with rape 2 weeks ago. Joe Paterno has not really wanted to say much about it, but Scott has been talking. He gave an interview to a Philadelphia newspaper and said that he didn't really think he was treated fairly by his coach about being suspended. Scott said, "I was gone that morning. I don't want to say anything that will look bad on Paterno, but he didn't want to hear my side of the story." And Joe Pa does have a history of letting the legal system play out with his players when they get into trouble, even a sexual assault allegation against another player a couple of years ago. But it could be that he just had enough in Scott's case. While Scott hasn't been in any trouble with the law per se, he has been in Joe Pa's doghouse before for missing team meetings and for skipping tutoring sessions. Brent.
All right, Lisa. And of course, when we had our conversation with Joe, we asked him about Austin, and he just does not comment about any part of what's happened. And this is one of the fellows who replaced Austin, Evan Royster, who is shaken up, and he'll come to the sideline, so Rodney Kinlaw will probably come back in.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines' convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane. Visit southwest.com. The Nissan Titan, proud presenter of the 2007 Heisman Trophy. To cast your vote, go to theheismanvote.com. Aflac, ask about it at work. And DLP HD TV. DLP is the official ESPN on ABC HD telecast sponsor of college football.
Ah, yes, a guy from Brooklyn knows good pizza when he sees it, and he never fails to deliver to Paternoville. That's Tent City. Of course, it started with Krzyzewskiville down at Duke, and now it has spread up here to Happy Valley, and here's the 2nd and 10 for Paterno's offense. Morelli again with a neat fake. Williams is bumped out, but the ball was probably not catchable on that side, so it'll now bring up a 3rd and 10 for him. And Mr. Herbstreit is still saying be conservative, stick with the plan, and I'm saying get that thing downfield.
Yeah, I think it's not time to panic yet for Penn State. It's so early in the game, close to 9 minutes before the half, down by a couple scores, but I think the balance, running and throwing, that's the key for them at this point. And at this point, that's what we're seeing with Galen Hall. That's what he continues to go with, along with Jay Paterno.
Yeah, that's the offensive brain trust calling plays, and here's your 3rd down and 6. and timeout. Morelli saw something he hadn't seen, didn't like, and he'll take a timeout. So they'll come over to the sideline to discuss it. Well, it's time for our Aflac trivia question.
Aflac!
What Brown University football record does Joe Paterno still hold? Class of 1950. I'm going to give you a hint. He was a quarterback at Brown, and of course you played both ways, so he was also a defensive back. So now you think about what football record does Joe Pa still hold?
Give me a quick scouting report, Brent, on what made Joe Paterno the kind of player he was at Brown. What do you have for me?
Rip Engel, the head coach, said he's a very heady young man. And Joe Pa was getting ready to go to law school, okay? Rip Engel called him. He'd just been hired at Penn State, and he said, Joe, I can hire one assistant coach for $3,600 a year, and I want it to be you. And Joe thought, holy Toledo, my dad wants me to be a lawyer, but I love football. So he went to work for Rip for $3,600 a year, and the rest is history, folks. Incomplete. And when Joe Pa, who was assigned the Pittsburgh area right away to recruit, because that's where all the great players were up in that area, he would hitchhike up to save money.
I can't believe
that's
that.
That's how he got up there. That's the truth, man.
Boy, recruiting has changed, hasn't it?
It's unbelievable. He's got 15 grandchildren. 11 of them live right here. I said to him, I said, Joe, how about giving Jay a recommendation? Get him a head coaching job someplace. He said, no, my wife Sue would be very unhappy if there's some of the grandchildren left down.
Jay has 5.
So here's Boone now. Jeremy Boone to punt it for Penn State. Under pressure. He might have got a piece of it because there's no penalty flag. The crowd is unhappy, but Lamagnier standing right there said no way.
Late flag comes in.
Down the other end?
The far side, yeah.
Nothing to do with the punt.
No. Well, after the play.
But according to that first preliminary we got from a blue jersey, it's against the Bucks. But let's see this. No, sir. Yeah. It is indeed.
Might have been right towards.
Following the play, dead ball, personal foul, late hit, number 6. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
That's number 6 got accused, but it looked like number 20, Donald Washington. We'll take a look at this.
Larry Grant was accused, indeed. But he has not yet been proven guilty.
Not yet. We'll come back and show it.
Play, folks. Stay tuned, Mr. Grant. You're not going to jail yet. Mr. Herbstreit.
Yes, sir. Donald Washington right here. I thought might be guilty, Brent, but in fact, he's clean. Top right there. It was number 6. Larry Grant comes in. I apologize to the officials and to Donald Washington because 6 was guilty as charged.
First down and 10. Now Beckman's been very impressive here tonight. Beanie Wells stopped at the line of scrimmage, wrestled down by Ali Agbu.
Okay.
He's a redshirt freshman from Staten Island. Josh Gaines was there.
Ohio State's last 3 drives, they took the opening drive, went 45 yards and had a field goal. They've gone 80 yards tonight and had a touchdown. They've gone 91 yards tonight and come away with a touchdown. Now here they go again. The 4th drive, pinned again deep in their own territory. They've responded well. Let's see what happens here.
Here comes a linebacker blitz. Successful, too, I might add. Linebacker stuffed it up on that side. Maurice Evans makes the plays, number 48. He's coming off a monster game. He has 10.5 sacks this year, folks. He's number 2 in the NCAA.
Great quickness from Evans, but Brent, you touched on the linebackers. Lee came from the outside. Great penetration that time from Evans. Baitner, they got after that time. Beanie Wells, Ohio State a little bit more conservative in front of the student section. Now 3rd and long.
And Sane checks in as the fullback. Let's see if they circle route him out now. He is in front of Wells. Here he comes. Penn State may be ready for it. Beckman's back. Fires middle. Caught. Here's Hartline working across from the other side. He's out at the 36-yard line. 3rd and long, and Beckman strikes again, 28 yards. What an offense.
Are you kidding me?
This is unbelievable.
I mean, 3rd down and long. You're in front of the most hostile student section in college football. The line's going to give you time to throw, and it takes every bit of the amount of time that he had for his receiver that time, Hartline, to get all the way over from the right over to the left part of the field, and the throw split 2 defenders.
You know what was really impressive? One of those little things. Tressel said that Beanie Wells will really pass block, and he did that time. Now Beckman's in trouble. Throw back to the screen read well by the Nittany Lions that time, and that was blown up. They had pressure, first of all, by Chris Baker. And then you could see Sargent, number 10, come up to make the play. But there's the young man who blew the play up.
Sargent that time read that quickly and responded. Tom Bradley, the defensive coordinator from Penn State, says he is one of the hardest working defensive backs that he's had in years. He studies film, and there's Tom Bradley, totally committed, and that time all that film work paid off. He sniffed that out quickly.
Josh Hull is now one of the 3 linebackers. You can see pressure from Lee. Beckman gets it off on the slant. Hartline slipped trying to cut back, so he's just short of the 1st down, but this should be easy. They can make 3rd and long. Now they got 3rd and short.
Games change, but for the first half, this is what you call quarterback being in a zone. Todd Beckman right now is feeling very good, and give Jim Tressel and his offensive staff an assist for mixing up the play, calling 18 runs, 15 passes, mixing it up nicely, and making him feel comfortable, again, in this hostile environment.
Kirk, he's 11 of 15, 190 yards here tonight. There is the 1st down. Beanie Wells and Lee wrestles him down, but they're on the move again. I got to tell you, in just a few weeks since we had Beckman against Purdue, you can see his confidence growing as a quarterback, just like what you're talking about.
Yeah, remember in that game, he started fast. He made some good throws early, threw the interceptions in the 2nd half by putting the ball in the air. But I think when you're a first-year starting quarterback, you get so much attention at a school like Ohio State. He has handled the pressure very well, and I have to go back to the fact that he's one of these guys who gray-shirted. He's 23 years old. He's been in the program since the 03 season. He looks very, very polished right now.
They're using a lot more formations tonight than they did that night also. Here is Beckman. And, you know, there's a flag and a little holding call indicating, you know, a lot of people have said, well, this is the same kind of Ohio State team as 2002. Not by my reckoning. They were in 6- and 7-point games, and they didn't put many points on the board, and they pulled them out behind Krenzel and the gang late. This team has got some firepower.
But you
holding, offense, number 63. 10 yards previous spot, still 1st down.
Brent, it seemed like you had Ohio State that year every week, and you had a good feel for it, and I agree with you. Teams, a lot of people try to compare this team to the 02 team because of the great defense, but this offense right now is on a whole different level than where they were in 02. A lot more versatility with this group.
See what they can do with 1st and 20. See if they can get another 1st down. Intercepted. His first bad throw of the night. Picked off by Dan Connor, one of the semifinalists for the Buckeyes Award, and Mr. Connor gives the Nittany Lions a life, and that's why he's an All-American candidate right here, folks.
Well, Penn State needed a player to make a play to get the crowd back in and to get the emotion back in this stadium. And who else but Dan Connor right in the middle of your screen. All he's going to do is make his drop and read the quarterback's eyes. His head's on a swivel. He's going to try to find the crosser. And this time, the quarterback, Brent, as you touched on, Beckman makes his first mistake as he stares down Hartline coming right across. Made it pretty easy for Dan Connor to get back in coverage.
Yeah, it was a good replay you had of Connor with the eyes following. I mean, he was squeezed, pinch, double team, get elsewhere, throw it away, live to fight another day. Royster back in, so it's nice to see that he wasn't seriously injured, and Dan Connor, one of the ringleaders. The coaches here will tell you that as far as Penn State's defense is concerned, they're carried by number 40 and number 45, Connor and Lee.
22 tackles away from becoming the career leader in Penn State history is Dan Connor. That gives you an idea of all the great linebackers they've had. He's 22 tackles away coming into tonight from passing Paul Posluszny.
Second down and 5. And Royster for the 1st and 10. And I know that Dan Connor told you about what it was like to line up and play the top-ranked team in the nation.
It's my senior year. I mean, that's what we were shooting for all summer. I mean, we work hard in the offseason, getting up at 6 a.m., and it's all for that, to get a shot at number 1, you know, whether we're playing or whether we are number 1. So this is something we've been working for a long time now, and to have this, you know, my senior year, to get a chance at a game like this, I mean, it's a huge thing for me.
Paul Posluszny now moved on to the NFL along with Connor. Man, what a linebacking duo they were. And now Lee is here. Short drop complete on the snap outside. And they put it in the hands of Terrell Golden.
Ohio State defense coming into tonight has allowed 4 touchdowns. Penn State took the opening drive and said, okay, you're a great defense. We're going to challenge you. And they did. They went right down the field and put 6 points up on the board. Now they get back into Ohio State territory right here.
Wind at Penn State's back. A score gives them a huge lift going into the locker room here at the intermission. We've got about coming down toward that 3-minute mark here. So this is a big drive for Penn State's morale. Royster not doing much against that defensive front. Marcus Freeman again in on that stop.
I think Joe Paterno this week talked about in his press conference, the fans are going to get a good look at some linebackers tonight that are some of the best in this conference, and you could put them up there, some of the best in the country. Laurinaitis, of course, Marcus Freeman from Ohio State. Dan Connor's been making big plays tonight. We've seen Sean Lee, maybe 4 premier linebackers on one field tonight, all over this field.
Good little breezy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I like it. Nice football weather.
There's your 3rd down now for the Nittany Lions. Morelli throws underneath, and what a great defensive play by Kurt Coleman. Coleman ripping him down short of the 1st down, and here's a 4th down for the Nittany Lions.
What great closing speed by Kurt Coleman, and a great open field tackle. He's an undersized safety, but loves to make big hits, and that time the sure tackler keeps Penn State short of the 1st down.
And Jeremy Boone trots onto the field. Now, 2 questions. Would not expect a punt out of Joe Pa. Not that kind of a staff. But what's your feeling about the call here? It is certainly not a 4th and gimme. You can see the blue line to the yellow line. It's tough.
What it tells me is he has confidence in his defense still to try to stop Todd Beckman and get the ball back.
Okay. Boone drops another one, but it rolls to the end zone. Could have been stopped inside the 5. And Buckeyes have got time, and they can strike deep. When we come back, we'll find out if Jim Tressel elects to air it out with Beckman.
IBM presents the 25 greatest players ever. Number 15, John Elway. This 2-time Pac-10 Player of the Year was a threat to score on any play. He finished his career at Stanford with 77 touchdown passes and broke nearly every conference passing record. IBM, getting it done.
So there it is, presented by IBM. We'll count it on down to the Rose Bowl, Kirk, and we will reveal number 1. I can make an argument for anybody on that page being number 1. Let me tell you that. John Elway was so great. His father, Jack, was an assistant coach at Missoula at the University of Montana when he signed up for his first organized football. 1st down and 10. Wells slashes to the 24-yard line, and now our Aflac question. Remember, folks, we ask you about Joe Pa. What Brown University football record does Joe Paterno hold? You go back to the 50s. There it is. 14 career interceptions, all right, for the former Brown quarterback, all right? We're going to show you his style here and the style of the video in that era in just a moment. Very conservative, got the 1st down, moved the chains, and so
I'm anxious
here it is,
to see
folks.
this. Uh-oh.
Watch.
That's my man right there. Look at the speed.
All right.
Look at the speed.
Wow, great jump on the read that time. Got up into the passing lane. Interception. The speedster. I'm going to start calling him the speedster.
First down and 10. And Todd Beckman. Joe's looking for one of his guys to make another pick, although Tressel is going to look long. Beckman throwing incomplete. Trubisky the target, and let us throw it to Matt Weiner in New York. See if I can complete this one, Matt.
All right, it is a completion. Here's our nominee for the AT&T ESPN All-America Player of the Week. Texas Jamal Charles had 216 yards and 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. 290 for the game as Texas passed and pulled away from Nebraska. To text your vote, send it to 87654 on your AT&T wireless telephone.
Yeah, Texas had their hands full for a while against the Cornhuskers, but Charles and the Horns pull it out. Second down and 10. And Maurice Wells on the draw, and it is read perfectly by Ogbu, who's playing very well in the inside.
Did a nice job that time of getting the penetration to slow down the play. I think Jim Tressel came out and he felt that if they would have picked up a big play with Trubisky, they would have continued to attack. Now just run the clock out and be very happy with a 10-point lead on the road.
Big interception for Dan Connor.
Yes, kept his team into this football game.
Absolutely.
Gave him some life and kept the crowd in, hoping that they can get back in the game.
But can Anthony Morelli and the Nittany Lions respond with a little offense in the second half as they trail the Buckeyes 17-7. So coming up now, the Capital One halftime report. That'll be up next. There's the Nittany Lions.
There's no competition, I win over and over until you sick of me. Victory after victory, I prove you can't get with me. My team's unstoppable. My defense that'll stop you fools. Make it hard to move, it's easy to lose when you're going against the best. Now you're being put to the test. Welcome to the Terror Dome, now you're on your own. We'll see who regulates and who gets to celebrate.
We welcome you back to Saturday Night Football, presented by Southwest Airlines here on ABC tonight with Kirk Herbstreit, Lisa Salters. I'm Brent Musburger, and Mr. Beckman had a very good first half.
Boy, he was able to settle in early and get Ohio State to quiet the crowd. But Dan Connor's interception, I think, gives Penn State life. They deferred in the first half. They'll start the second half with the football. And we'll see if they can start the second half the way they started the first half, where they went right down the field and put a touchdown up on the board.
Well, we've got a 10-point margin right now, but remember, the Nittany Lions deferring. They'll handle the ball here to start the second half. They'll be looking to get some field position on this kickoff and go from there.
Absolutely. Field position, very important. They'll have the wind to finish the game in the fourth quarter, but they've got to get something established here, Brent, to get this second half started.
Wallace and Derek Williams are back. Williams driven. He's going to bring it out. Stop well short of the 20-yard line, and time, Kirk, for our Southwest Airlines playbook.
Well, we have to go back to Todd Beckman. He was by far the player of the first half. He was in a zone, as I said. He was 11 of 17. Early in the game, I thought Jim Tressel gave him a chance, gave him some 1st and 10 throwing opportunities. He seemed to settle in, got the crowd out of the game, mixed it up to a variety of receivers. Trubisky, Small, Hartline, all making big plays. And it enabled Ohio State to build a 10-point lead in the first half.
Rodney Kinlaw back on as the running back. Rodney gets the first carry of the second half and a tough 1-yard run as we take a look at the Pacific Life game summary. On third downs, the Buckeyes were 7 of 8 in the first half. And what jumps off that page for you, Kirk?
Well, third downs and first downs, that's what jumps out because of momentum that's created by first downs, but it's the passing yards and the balance from the play calling from Jim Tressel. 22 runs in the first half, 17 passes. Allowed Ohio State, again, to be very, very balanced. And I think Morelli needs to come out in this second half and find some easy targets early to get that rhythm going again.
7 of 11, and there's number 1, and it goes to Norwood, and it'll be very close to that first down marker as we check down below with Lisa.
Well, Brent, I spoke to Joe Paterno and asked him exactly what Chris Fowler and the guys and what you and Kirk have been asking. How is Penn State going to slow down Ohio State's offense? And Paterno said, look, we've just got to play more aggressively. We're just standing around in that first half, and, you know, we just can't wait around for things to happen against Ohio State. They're way too good. Also, defensive line coach Larry Johnson told his defensive line during the game, enough is enough. This is our house. We've got to dig down and make a stand and make it happen. Brent?
One thing we should point out, Lisa, looking at Joe, the wind has picked up as Morelli goes straight ahead. The Nittany Lions are moving into it, although it does tend to gust here in Beaver Stadium. But the flags atop the goalposts will tell you, and there's the American flag, and of course that gives you an idea of how stiff it is on the top of the stadium. And then down inside, we've got some 110,000 fans.
Looks like the pom-poms are falling apart in the whiteout. It almost looks like it's snowing here right now from the Penn State student section. If that's part of the routine here when it's a whiteout or what? Swirling around.
Deion Butler has been very quiet here tonight. He's off to the right side of the formation as a wideout. There's Morelli rolling on that side. And there is the first down pass. And again, it was Golden with Andy Russell.
Well, play action. They ran the same play a little bit earlier, and they handed it off. This time, Morelli right there, a little fake, freezing the defense just enough for his receiver to get out into the flat and outflank the secondary. Little thing, but when you're able to run the football, you can get the defense to fall asleep just for a second, and that's all you need to be able to get your receiver off play action right to where he needs to be. Good call.
Those 13 yards now, Kirk, and Morelli has thrown for 90 yards as opposed to Beckman's 189. Moving the chains now. Morelli in underneath. Kinlaw, the running back, slips out of the backfield, and Freeman, the linebacker, over there with coverage. And the weather here at 51 degrees, partly cloudy. We had rain yesterday almost throughout the day, and a little bit earlier this morning, but that stopped. And you can see it's chilly here today.
You're a real gamer. I thought Thursday night we were in the room there in the hotel watching Thursday night football, Boston College. You had to excuse yourself a little early, a little under the weather. My man bounces back 48 hours, ready to play ball tonight.
Nothing like drugs. Second down and 8 as Kinlaw to midfield.
Just a warrior, that's all.
Hated to miss that beer time with you, though, my friend, watching that Thursday night game.
That was go car on you.
I didn't know what had happened until the next morning. And I get up and, I'm watching sports and
how about
Toledo, we pulled it out.
How about Matt Ryan rookie?
I went to bed, thought he'd lost the Heisman. BC had lost its ranking, and here they are, stocking a spot in the championship game.
In 3 minutes, Matt Ryan and BC saved their season and his Heisman campaign. Amazing.
Shades of Doug Flutie.
Absolutely.
Third down and 3. Morelli. And nothing doing on that one. Receiver covered. He lofted it way over there. There is a flag that has been thrown on this play.
Corliss, the tight end, locked up. Vern Golston, who was getting around him, he'll probably be called for a holding, and Ohio State will more than likely decline this, bringing up a fourth down.
Holding, number 10. Penalties decline. Fourth down.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
This is something that Corliss is a tight end, not used to this speed rush top of your screen. How quick Vern Golston gets around him. He locks him up right in front of the referee. He makes the call. Ohio State declines, and Penn State has to punt.
Jeremy Boone. Hits it at about the 41-yard line. Hangs a beautiful punt high. Fair catch is signaled at the 13-yard line. So Hartline with the fair catch. And when we come back, it'll be the Buckeyes' first possession of the second half of 10. This game being broadcast on ABC HD, presented by DLP HD TV. We move to the top of the hour. with the #1 team in the nation, Ohio State, leading Penn State 17-7. The difference in the two quarterbacks on your screen. Beckman and the Buckeyes. Beanie Wells is set behind the fullback. He'll open up the second half with a 4-yard run. Let's take you back to Thursday night and show you Matt Ryan. Strike one was beautifully thrown and a fine catch, and then perhaps the play of the night, the onside kick is bobbled by Virginia Tech, and that set this up.
It set up Matt Ryan to throw the game winner. I think Virginia Tech's defense lulled to sleep. Oh yeah, here we go. Boom!
Hold on. Hey, you got. Come on.
Matt Ryan said it's the best hit he's made in his life, knocking down the head coach in his celebration.
I mean, didn't Brett Favre ever give him a chest bump when he was coaching at Green Bay? Come on. Second down and 6 now. Here's Beckman. Did not get the first and 10. Nickel is driven out of bounds on that side. Did you guys used to, when you were the quarterback up there,
you gotta give the chest butt there? Yeah, but that was so much emotion.
Coach needs a wider stance when the players coming. I mean, come on.
You know what?
Bend your knee.
I'll say this about
we're gonna go see Coach Jag.
We're probably going to go see him next week.
Florida State's up there.
That was the only
you gonna game day up there?
Yeah, I think
Let's
so.
get him up there.
You got to talk to
Boston College. Well,
you know who to talk to about
we could have a World
trying to get everybody up there.
We could have Kevin Garnett. We could have Boston College.
That'd be great.
Get the Boston's on the phone.
Red Sox will be celebrating another World Series.
Brandon Sane is also in the backfield now, under pressure. Oh, snaps it off for a first down.
One thing I want to say about what Matt Ryan did there in those final 3 minutes, not only did he save the season, they're undefeated. Right. Florida State coming up next Saturday. In my opinion, that was the only Heisman moment that a player in 2007 has had. Dennis Dixon's a great player. Tim Tebow.
Mr. Woodson in triple overtime against LSU.
They're done. He's out of the race. I'm talking about a Heisman moment that matters with either. Right now, it's Dennis Dixon. It's Matt Ryan.
Woodson, you're still in it.
I don't think didn't they lose again today?
They did. You're right. First down. And Beanie Wells out of bounds, and we said it to Matt Weiner. Bail us out here, man.
Here's a guy who had maybe a Heisman worthy, even though he's not up for the award. Late Georgia, Florida. It's our Pontiac game-changing performance nominee, Matthew Stafford's 3rd touchdown pass of the game. With his team up 4, he played insurance man. They went on to win it by 11. Check out this season's best Pontiac game-changing performances at ESPN.com.
You know, Kirk Stafford, who we just saw there, I'll tell you, the pro scouts love that arm. That's a deep arm.
Oh, no doubt about that.
He's a young one. And here comes Beanie muscling his way close to midfield, and there is Josh Gaines, number 47, getting off that pile after making the stop.
Stop by Josh Gaines.
Again, another nice drive where Ohio State mixing it up. This Penn State defense in this stadium has been a very, very tough defense and a very physical defense for most offenses to face. But when you keep them guessing as to what play call is coming next, they're back on their heels the way we're seeing them right now.
Here's Maurice Wells in at tailback for Coach Tressel. Breaks free for a first down. Crosses the 35-yard line to the 34.
Penn State had 8 bodies up close to the line of scrimmage. They walked the safety up for a 9th. They're very, very fortunate that time that one of the linebackers got a hold of Maurice Wells right there. Sales just to slow him down enough. Everybody up the line of scrimmage. He hit a crease. That easily could have been a long touchdown for Maurice Wells.
He stays in. They call his number again. Picks up by 4 yards on that run after the 17-yard burst. So this running game, Kirk, let's see. Buckeyes 144 yards and Penn State 90. Penn State had a better first quarter, but now the Buckeyes have taken charge of the ground affair.
Brendan, the first half, I thought you made a great point about the way Ohio State and Jim Tressel are mixing up not only the play calling, but the formations. That was a 1st and 10 shotgun, 3-wide receiver look. A little bit of a wrinkle, and then they end up running the zone play out of it.
Penn State shows blitz. And Wells past the first wave to about the 27. Dan Connor, number 40, making the stop. And the Nittany Lions need another takeaway here.
Penn State has been one of the top rushing defenses this year in the country. Close to 80 yards a game is their average. Tonight, Ohio State 148. They're ninth in the country. As I said, they're physical. Their defensive line usually eats blocks. Linebackers and safeties fly to the ball. But Ohio State, so far, has been able to mix it up enough to be able to have success on the ground, too.
Beanie Wells back in at tailback. Gets the call behind Jonathan Doe for the first down. I don't think he got it. I think he's a little bit short, but he's in that range where Trussell is apt to say, let's go right here, if he didn't make it. So they'll bring the chains out and measure this. You know, the country as a whole will not buy the Big Ten as a power because of what happened in the championship game and in the Rose Bowl, those two games.
And
so the Big Ten has to go, and Appalachian State then starts this year. Exactly. But the Big Ten will have to go out and prove otherwise. I mean, the Buckeyes need to keep on going, go down to New Orleans and take care of business. Now, I'm impressed. I don't know about you with Trussell. He didn't bury the fact, what was it, 41-14. He's reminded this group.
Absolutely. In fact, I think the Ohio State coaches behind closed doors use that as incentive to keep this team hungry and to keep them motivated. They realize how many doubters there are out there because of that Florida performance, and that is motivation for this team this year.
Understandably so. I mean,
absolutely. And I think the nation will look at Ohio State, even if they're able to get through their season, and still look at them as an overrated team until they get to if they get a chance at a championship type of game.
Crowd's hanging tough. Beckman over the top for the first down. Then we're taking any chances with a handoff or anything like that. The center and the quarterback.
A lot of times you see sneaks. This is just kind of an alley-oop. It's designed for the quarterback to get up. A lot of times, Brett, you'll see the quarterback leap forward with the football in his hands, trying to just get forward progress. A little bit of a risk, and this time Beckman goes up and over, but protects the football and gets the first.
Here comes the blitz. They can't get there. Got one-on-one. Robisky out of bounds at the 1-yard line. Robisky, he wants the touchdown down here in the corner. This is 22 yards, and this is remarkable.
One-on-one again. Robisky with the size advantage against Justin King. But, ladies and gentlemen, the football was perfectly thrown to the outside. Left foot, right foot gets in. I don't know. I don't think the football got across the line. The helmet did, but the ball did not. But a perfect throw by Todd Beckman again.
Remember where this drive started, at the Buckeye 13-yard line. And King off on the sideline.
Previous play is under review.
They're going to look to see. Maybe we have a different view, but it looked like his helmet got across. We'll have to see where the football is if it broke the plane.
Well, complete and incomplete would not seem to be the question here.
No.
Now, the helmet is across the goal line. I thought for sure. But I agreed with your first look that when we had this one angle here that the ball might not have gotten to the pylon. Let's see. Let's take a close look. Watch the football. Now the pylon gets knocked out.
Yeah, and the ball, when his body hits, the ball looks like it starts to come out. And I don't know if they're going to look at that part of it or if they're just looking. Yeah, they're looking for possession, we've been told. Possession of the football. This will be a great look. The left, the right. Yep.
I guess I was wrong. They were looking for possession in this thing.
I don't think the ball came out until his body hit.
Right.
The left foot touched.
Let's take a look at it.
The left foot touched, the right foot touched.
Right.
And then as he came down and his body hit the ground out of bounds, looked like the ball started to be juggled a bit.
Joe Pa, of course, He and Lloyd Carr, perhaps the two biggest reasons why instant replay came about to begin with in the Big Ten. And getting it right in key moments like this is what it's all about. And this system, for the most part, is a little bit quicker than the NFL's. Not always. Nothing's perfect. Remember, Lamonier, the referee, he's not making the decision like you see the NFL referees go under the hood. The man who's making the decision is upstairs here, running those angles back and forth and back and forth. And TiVo machines upstairs and everything. And then they'll relay the word down, the communicator will, and Lamonier will pass it on to us and you at the same time.
They get the same looks that we get. That's what they're reviewing.
This is a good crew.
Following the review, the play has been overturned. The player was not in control of the ball, bobbled the ball, incomplete pass, second down.
Interesting. The shot that we had that showed when he went down and lost control of the football out of bounds. He has possession here. The foot comes down. It's tough to see there.
Yeah, that was not the angle they used to turn that over, but this might have been. See the ball slipping up a little bit. Tough call.
Tough call.
So it'll be second down.
Here's the view right here. You'll see the ball come out as he comes down. Ball is being juggled as he comes down, and they felt there was enough evidence. 2nd and 10.
Beckman goes back to work. In underneath. And they wrestle Rory Nickel down, short of the first down. Lydell Sargent, the corner there.
It's an aspect of this offense that you're seeing more and more of this year than you saw last year. Throwing the football to the tight ends. Rory Nickel came in tonight with 8 receptions on the year. Jake Ballard had 7. And Brandon Smith had 3. You're talking about 18 receptions alone for the tight end position coming into tonight's game.
Penn State did not have 11 men on the field. They have to burn a timeout. They did not have 11 men on the field, so they burn a timeout. And when we come back, it'll be 3rd and 2 for the Nittany Lions.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines' convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane. Visit Southwest.com. Pacific Life. For insurance, annuities, and investments, choose Pacific Life, the power to help you succeed. Saturn. With 5 totally new models, it's just something to rethink about. Saturn. And Verizon Wireless.
Well, when you've got a whiteout, you can get an early start on Halloween. 3rd down and 2. Beckman's the Buckeye quarterback. Trevor Robinson's the fullback. Wells the tailback. Beanie's right behind him. Play fake. They're going to throw for the end zone. Touchdown. The Buckeyes strike. Jake Ballard, the sophomore who caught a touchdown pass a week ago, breaks open on a play action, a 15-yard on 3rd and 2 here.
And Brett, they get behind Penn State's defense. They're thinking run. They brought in their personnel where they typically run the isolation, and the Penn State secondary got sucked up on the play action, and Ohio State got right behind them with a nice throw again from Todd Beckman. Has he missed very many throws tonight?
No, he has not. Pretorius adds the extra point, Kirk. And as you asked me that, Beckman is 15 of 22, 220 yards on the night. You're watching ESPN on ABC.
I'm Matt Weiner with this look at your primetime pulse on ESPN. South Carolina has made a comeback at Tennessee. Corey Boyd has 135 yards and a touchdown. It's a 7-point game there. On ESPN2, Texas A&M has just tossed a touchdown pass. 19-9, Kansas leading on the road, pending the extra point.
And Matt, here are the Buckeyes with 21 unanswered points after they fell behind in this game in the first half. 7-3. Beckman, 3 touchdown passes on the night. Paso, the punter, bangs one into the end zone. A late gamble to come out. It pays off as Wallace gets to the 27-yard line, and back we go to the touchdown.
Ohio State brought their short yardage fullbacks in, those backup fullbacks, and by doing that, Penn State loads and stacks the right side. They put everybody up, and look at Jake Ballard right here. Slips behind the coverage off of the play action, and Todd Beckman gets back, gets his feet under him, and puts it right over the shoulder of Jake Ballard, who had a huge game last week against Michigan State. And the young man from Springboro, Ohio, with a big play again tonight.
Kinlaw into the backfield, but now it's got to be Aaron Morelli if Penn State expects to get back into this. Dumping into the fullback, Dan Lawler. Very close to the first down marker, and impressive drive chart here.
Wow, this really is, when you're on the road in a tough environment, look what Ohio State's been able to do, and look at the yards that they've been able to drive against a very, very good Penn State defense.
Morelli has thrown for 100 yards tonight. Their touchdown came on the ground with Kinlaw. They run the end around. Williams with great speed to the 41.
Derek Williams, we've been waiting, at least I've been waiting to call his name. He's one of my favorite players in the Big Ten. Dropped some weight this year after putting some weight on last year, and he's a lot quicker. They try to find unique ways to get the ball in his hands, and this time on the reverse, he finds some open space and picks up big yardage for the Nittany Lions. Very impressive young man we spoke with on Thursday.
The fake. Here is the toss to Kinlaw. Kinlaw, a tough 8-yard run that time before he's brought down by Cameron Hayward. Hayward, of course, the son of the late Ironhead, who was a fine player up in Pittsburgh and then with the NFL. And a tough football player, just like his daddy.
And Derek Williams, one of the most highly rated high school players 3 years ago, could have gone to any school in the country, decided to come to Penn State. We asked him why. He said he wanted to make a mark on a program and help grow as a man. He's been very happy so far.
Morelli not going to get the first down. Hayward again in on the stop. Number 97 right there. Sealed it off from a Morelli scramble.
They think Cameron Hayward has an opportunity to be an all-American type of defensive end. You put him on one side and Vernon Golston, number 50, on the other. Gives Ohio State a couple of bookends. And this after losing their best defensive lineman early in the year, Lawrence Wilson, who broke his leg. Cameron Hayward stepped up with the opportunity and has given them great speed opposite of Vernon Golston.
3rd and 4. First down, Kinlaw breaks into the open and is ridden down, but he's in the red zone at the 18. Coleman finally rode him down. Tough run for Kinlaw. 18 more yards.
This is a beautiful example of zone blocking, Brent. You get all of the action going to the left, and when the offense is pushing everybody this way, it's up to this man to find a crease and hit it. You're slow and patient, and then find the crease and hit it. Malcolm Jenkins comes up to make a play, but Kinlaw's able to shake him.
Now first down in the red zone. Kinlaw got back to the line of scrimmage. So another huge crowd on hand here. 110 and 134, the second largest in Beaver Stadium history.
They're waiting for something to get excited about. We'll see if this drive ends in a way that this stadium can come alive. They've been quiet.
They basically have to have a touchdown to stay alive. Late in the third quarter, trailing 24-7. The Buckeyes with that impressive offense. Morelli complete. Lyons on that far side by Larry Grant. And Norwood out right at that first down marker. And that should give the Nittany Lions a first and goal, and it does.
Norwood is an important cog in the Penn State attack. Last week he had 8 receptions against Indiana, career high. This week against Ohio State, another big night, 5 catches already.
Royster, and check that, Kinlaw still in the game, and he is wrestled down by Russell.
Dragged down by Anderson Russell.
As many big names as Ohio State has in the secondary, the coaches will tell you that Anderson Russell, who tore his ACL in a game that you and I did last year against Iowa, he's fought his way back to get healthy, and he is important because he's always up close to the line of scrimmage, whether it's against a blitz, against the pass, or it's filling a hole like he did right there against the run.
Back in the gun. On second down. Incomplete. He threw a little bit behind his intended target, Dion Butler.
I think Morelli that time felt some pressure coming right towards him from a linebacker blitzing Marcus Freeman, and he stepped a little bit to the outside as he tried to make the throw, and the ball came behind Butler, who's cutting to the inside, and had his man Donald Washington beat to the slant. Ball was thrown behind him. No chance for Butler to make that catch.
Let's see where they go with this third down pass. Buckeyes are blitzing it. And he has to throw hurriedly. Incomplete. Chris Bell, the intended target that time, but it was the blitz that forced Morelli's hand.
They brought the blitz, and the All-American linebacker, Laurinaitis, got there a bit late, and it's Vernon Golston on one side, and then 33, Laurinaitis, who hits him high. A little bit of pushing going back and forth that time between Bell and Chekwa. Chekwa was lost at the last second, found the football, but they could have definitely called in penalty there either way, as both the receiver and the defensive back were fighting for position.
27-yard field goal attempt by Kevin Kelly. To still make it a 2-touchdown difference as Kelly nails the field goal. 24-10. Buckeyes lead it by 14. 1:27 to go in the third quarter when we come back.
Mills now looking for the end zone. Got a man. Touchdown!
The rally in the Valley for the record, and Joe Paterno and the Nittany Lions looking for a little bit more of that magic. They were still beefing with the officials about the no call in the end zone down there. They thought their wide receiver, Chris Bell, had been interfered with. Ball was a little bit overthrown down there when they were coming back. And this kickoff, Wells will field it at the goal line. This is Maurice Wells to the 22-yard line. And so a reminder, Monday Night Football continues from Invesco Field, Mile High. Can Brett Favre and the Packers roll out of Denver with a victory against Jay Cutler and the Denver Broncos? Monday Night Football on ESPN at 8 Eastern. And some of the Bronco fans are, well, they don't want to pull against the Rockies, but that'll be some scene out there if it's Game 5, a World Series game, up the block, and over there on that side they got pretty good Monday night game. You know what I'm saying?
Not looking very good right now.
Pretty good city.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit of traffic jam. Get a hotel and stay downtown. No, the Red Sox are tended business. That might wind up in 4.
And off to Chris Wells.
And the Penn State defense, Kirk, came in here with some, they had more sacks than any team in the country.
Yeah, they led the nation with 35 sacks. And tonight, they've not been able to get after Todd Beckman. The young man right there last week had a big game against Indiana. Maurice Evans, he's become their go-to man off the edge. Already 10.5 sacks himself this year, but up to this point has not been able to get after Beckman. You're down 14, closing in on the fourth quarter. The defense of Penn State has got to make a play to get them back the football.
Curtis snaps the ball to Beckman, who hits Hartline for a first down with Connor finally bringing him down. But Brian Hartline and Beckman is so much improved, finding seams with his throwing game, going deep, showing touch. Can't tell you how much he's improved.
Well, what he told me this week is exactly what you're noticing, is just the confidence. More reps allows a quarterback to allow the game to slow down and allows him to sit back there with his feet underneath him and throw the football with authority. Tonight, he has split some seams, tight seams, into the Penn State secondary and between the linebackers.
Toss play, and Beanie trying to get outside. First down for the Buckeyes before he's run out.
Great blocking this time by Ohio State. Hartline downfield, giving everything that he had to try to fight for his running back, but also is Rory Nickel off the edge, locked up the defensive end Josh Gaines, and allowed Beanie Wells to bounce it to the outside.
Well, we got a 2-touchdown game headed to the fourth. ESPN Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines returns after this message and a word from our ABC station. On this Saturday night game is Ohio State, apparently headed for a 9-0 mark. And I ask you folks out there, do they look like the kind of team you thought you'd see here tonight? Those of you who are not familiar, do they look like the #1 team in the nation? What do you think? I didn't get many A's down around Baton Rouge. I certainly am well aware of that. But I'm here to tell you this is a better Ohio State team than a lot of the critics think it is. I'm more and more impressed with how they're playing. I think this is an evolving offense. I think Beanie Wells got a chance to be a superstar.
He's close to going over 1,000 yards on the season. He's had two great games back-to-back. And, you know, the big question is, would their offense be good enough to match their defense? So far, if they're able to finish this game, they're making, I think, a very strong statement on both sides of the ball.
Here's Beckman. There's that touch. Umpire did a good job of getting out of the way on this play, and he's used Nickel, his tight end, here tonight. He's gone to Ballard, his other tight end. He has gone to Hartline. He's gone to Robisky. He has used Wells. Of course, Tressel is the play caller over here on the sideline. Jim Bowman, the eyes in the sky for Coach Tressel, and Jim Bowman's done a superb job with this offensive line. Cornell snapping with his left hand with the injured right. Raring and Person are the guards. Boone and Martin are the tackles.
And keep in mind, in this environment, they're not communicating at all verbally. It's all hand gestures, and watching the football makes it that much tougher.
Throwing for another first down, and he's just eating up the time now with his tight end. And, you know, you can see by the look in his eyes as he looks over this, there's a young man who's confident.
Total command. Feels very, very confident. Even after having a miscue at the end of the first half, comes right back to feel good about where he is as the quarterback of this team. That comes with the more reps that he's received. This guy right now, I think, is a confident quarterback. But I think Ohio State, you see spread offenses, stretch defenses horizontally and vertically. Ohio State is doing the same thing, dumping underneath. Wouldn't be shocked to see them take a shot eventually down the field.
Comes a linebacker blitz. Stepping inside, there's Beanie Wells for 8 more yards, having gone over 100 tonight. Let's go down below to Lisa.
Well, Brent, obviously Beanie Wells playing through that ankle injury. Kirk mentioned it earlier today that we haven't seen him limping off the field, but he has been limping. I have been watching him. He has been limping a little bit, and that's no surprise. He told me on the phone this week that it's just going to be painful for the rest of the season. He says it's really hard to grasp what's wrong with that ankle, but he said, I am always in pain. And when Coach Tressel told me earlier that I need to be a warrior, at first I was confused by it. I thought he was questioning my toughness, but now I know he was just trying to tell me that my team needs me.
Yeah, exactly, Lisa. And second down. And again, they go. Beanie breaks open. And he's inside the 15-yard line. One more thing about Beanie, folks. Steve Snap brought him outside the team hotel this morning and yelled at me to come back with the group. I honestly thought it was a defensive end that he had brought out to introduce me to. He is so big.
He's 6'1", 235 pounds, and what surprises you is how nifty his feet are and his ability to read blocks. Look how he gets his feet up, and I think that's the thing that surprises people is with how much power he brings, that his vision and his quick feet allow him to bounce the ball quite a bit to the outside and has that blend of speed and power.
Draw play, but the Nittany Lions jumped that play before it could even develop. Josh Gaines, who's played well for that front, able to jump it. But the Buckeyes have had the answer here tonight. They're up by 2 touchdowns, 11:48 to go, and they're driving toward that big anticipated showdown, of course, in November up in Ann Arbor. Well, it's coming right down to that one again, partner.
Well, there will be a lot of talk about that game because it's their next game on the road. But between this game and that game, some tough home games against Illinois and Wisconsin with Brett Beaver.
But they're in the comfort zone.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, the shoe. Here comes the blitz. Beckman hit from behind on the blitz. Navarro Bowman, number 18, ripped in on him. He didn't feel it coming that time from the backside.
Well, Brent, that's one of those things where the tight end right here has got to stay in, or you have to move the back over to be able to pick this up. Because if the tight end doesn't pick it up and Beanie Wells doesn't pick it up, then you're going to have a free blitz from the linebacker Bowman who came from the outside.
But Beanie can't pick it up. He's got to get the other blitz.
The quarterback's got to recognize that and move him over to the left side.
But they were coming both sides, partner.
You got to slide something.
Your tight end is the guy who's got to get him.
Well,
okay?
Either the back of the tight end's got to pick him up.
3rd down and 18. Here's the toss to him. Dan Connor rides him down just short of the 20-yard line.
Tim Tressel, conservative call there, trying to maybe put his kicker in a position to make this a 3-possession game now into the 4th quarter.
So Pretorius kicked a 50-yarder, if you weren't with us earlier. This into the breeze, a 37-yarder. Man, nailed it, didn't he? Kicking game is sound. I don't know. They look like a contender for #1 to me tonight, folks. Well, with 4 races to go and chase standings up for grabs, the teammates Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon, the Hendrick twins, battling to the wire. Who will come out on top? We roll into Hotlanta tomorrow, and we'll take the air at 1 Eastern time. You'll be looking live.
I will be looking live and watching. I like that little podium they give you there.
Yeah, they give me that. They give my own spot. You know, and they 500 miles, man.
I watch because Brent is doing it, and Dr. Jerry Punch does a marvelous job too.
He's on top of it. He and Rusty and the gang, looking forward to seeing them tomorrow on into the end zone, and it'll come out the 20-yard line and let us go to New York and Matt Wine. Matt, you going to be watching NASCAR tomorrow too, buddy?
Absolutely, Brent Musburger. You know I will. Right now, I've got a Sports Center Minute powered by Vizio. Kansas has gotten a career night from Brandon McAnderson, 184 yards, a couple of touchdowns. The Jayhawks are 8-0 for the first time in 99 years. Meanwhile, in Knoxville, South Carolina's come all the way back. Kenny McKinley's 12th catch of the night went for a score. Gamecocks have scored 21 unanswered to tie it up in Tennessee.
Wow, great game, Matt. Mark Mangino for Coach of the Year.
Oh, wow. And look at their schedule. They've got a shot to run the table until they get to Missouri in a huge game that'll decide the North.
Let's see what Morelli and the Nittany Lions can do now for long ball, incomplete, and I don't see a yellow flag on this one. And Chikwa was on Butler. Let's take a look at this, Kirk.
Butler trying to get behind him, a little hesitation, moved into the inside. And I think looking at the officials, the ball was overthrown, and the officials looked over at each other and kind of gave each other that look where the ball was not catchable and overthrown, and that's why you didn't see the penalty.
Because clearly he slashed the arm.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Second down and 10. Bad throw for a pick. And it's a pick 6. Just what happened to Morelli twice in Columbus last year. And Malcolm Jenkins, the great corner, makes it lights out. This wideout has suddenly become a blockout, folks. 24 yards on the pick 6.
Vern Dolston applying pressure from Morelli's right side. Drives right back into his face. He steps back as he's literally throwing the football. His body is moving backwards as he's trying to throw the ball forward. I think he was trying to throw it away, and Malcolm Jenkins says, thank you. That's 2 in 2 years for Malcolm Jenkins.
Somebody get me Don Meredith on the telephone. I can't sing it. Wow. You talk about turning out the lights. Jenkins, woof, big time.
Saturday Night Football on ABC, presented by Southwest Airlines. With Southwest Airlines' convenient nonstop flights, it's like having your own company plane. Visit southwest.com. The Ford F-150, built Ford tough. And John Hancock, the future is yours.
And the Herb Street children will dress up how for Halloween?
Well, I think they're going as some of the Star Wars characters.
Okay.
I'm not
all right.
Sure. There's Woody. He's ready.
He goes every day as Woody, though. That's the only difference with him. Every day is Halloween for him, too. And, you know, there's always an assortment of Joe Pop. Think about that. 80 years old over there and still coaching this football team. And it's become a long night. But, you know, let's think about this. 80 years old, and Penn State missed Ohio State a year ago.
Malcolm Jenkins had the pick last year for an interception. Antonio Smith had an interception. 2 interceptions last year for Ohio State against Anthony Morelli. And he hoped to avoid a similar performance tonight. He's played pretty well, but that pick 6 takes him out of the game, and a backup will step in now, Darrell Clark.
Darrell Clark a little more mobile than Morelli. And after that interception, the coaches said, we've seen enough. Dropped Deion Butler. And here is our Sports Authority timeline. Joe Paterno, he'll be 81 in December. Let's consider some other 80-year-olds. Tony Bennett, 81, still leaving his heart in San Francisco. Paul Newman, still driving fast cars. Jimmy Carter, the former United States president, still going strong. And nobody's going as strong as this dude.
Does he just get younger? For good reason? He just continues to get younger.
So many lines come to mind, and I'll just let them go. Second down and 10. Wanting to work next week.
Let him go, baby.
And we're not on the Comedy Channel tonight, but he drops it off now to Kinlaw. And so let's see. We know that Joe Pa is also within 1. And
might be 2 by tonight.
Bowden's got Duke tonight. We make him a favorite. It's the Bear and Pop Warner.
We might see Bobby Bowden next week up in Boston.
Yeah, those Knowles. With Matt Ryan and all that bunch, huh? We'll see what happens. Complete. And Corliss came back in bounds, and I thought I heard a whistle down there. That was, that was number 97. That wasn't a whistle. That was a rim rattler down there. Let's take a look at this one.
Pearl steps out. That was a close call. Hit there, and then boom! Hayward comes running in.
Now that's an iron hit. Now that's an iron hit. Do that now.
Literally.
I mean, that's bringing the goods now on that one, isn't it? Huh?
Impressive. 6'6", 285 pounds. This defense runs after the football. A lot of speed, especially in the back 7, the linebackers, and in the secondary. They can fly.
There's Kinlaw. And let us go to New York and Matt Weiner.
All right, Brett, you're watching one of the 5 unbeaten teams nationwide. One of them is now trailing by 10. Arizona State against Cal. Rudy Carpenter is one of the most frequently sacked quarterbacks in the country. This time, Cal separated him from the football. Cameron Jordan made points out of it, 13 yards out. Cal now leads in Tempe. It's 10-0.
All right, Matt, and that's Williams picking up. Check that. That's Deion Butler, number 3, picking up the first down on that far side. I was thinking about the BCS standings, and we'll get Bill Bonnell and Derek Mobley to bring that up for us after the next play. I'm sure they don't object to me doing a little producing. Because now I'm curious if Arizona State, they were up there pretty high in the deal, and I want you to tell me where everybody's going to fall.
Oh, okay. That shouldn't be a problem.
What we're doing here now. We have first down and 10. Buckeyes are headed for what would be their 9th straight victory, unbeaten in the Big Ten. A couple of home games, and then the Donnybrook with Michigan. Ripped out of bounds at the 40. So here it is.
Ball's live. Call it a live ball.
Let's take a look at this.
As complete to Jordan Norwood, a fumble.
Fumble the ball.
I think maybe they're going to overrule him here. Well, now they're going to. We still don't have a sign either way.
Recovered by Ohio State.
They're definitely going to. You got to believe they're going to take a look at this. Clark gets rid of the ball, and right here, well, that's a fumble.
Oh, blatant.
Yep. Everybody kind of stopped playing.
It was slow motion.
It's been a long night.
Yeah, but
everybody's.
And final, Donald Washington says, well, if nobody wants it, I'll pick it up.
And Ohio State goes right to the line to call a quick snap. That's an automatic sign to stop play and review it, usually from upstairs. There it is. Anytime an offense hurries to the line,
play is
that's like
review.
They feel guilty.
Now, we'll review the top 10. ESPNU, okay. There's really nothing to look at here. He
took a couple steps.
Did he catch the ball?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what. He almost took 3 steps. The crazy thing is everybody stops. The coaches want to pick the ball up themselves. It's 6 inches in front of them.
You know, Kurt Coleman's played a heck of a game. We maybe haven't given him enough credit. I mean, this is a heck of a play right here.
Well, he is always coming up and making sure tackles. You look at his size, 5'10", 5'11", about 185 pounds. I think a lot of people wondered how his body would hold up this year, moving from corner to safety.
He bobbled there. Wasn't on that
he's done a great job.
Step.
It's pretty quick call.
He's coming quickly out.
He confirms the call on the field. First down, Ohio State.
Here we go. So Coleman forces the fumble. Washington recovers it. And Maurice Wells checks in. They'll rest that ankle of Beanie Wells now for the rest of this one. 34-10, 8-11. Power I formation. Wells is driven down. And I guess now we can take a look. So, Kirk, give me the lowdown here, kiddo.
Well, I think it's going to depend on what happens with Arizona State, obviously down 10-0. The team that had a huge, huge day, the Oregon Ducks, who are going to just shoot up. If they continue to win football games, they're going to have some quality opponents still to play that will help them into computers. The challenge for Oregon is nobody watches Oregon play east of the Mississippi. So the message tonight is watch Dennis Dixon and the Oregon Ducks. Search all over your cable outlets to find Dennis Dixon and Oregon because they're really good. That was a big win today for them against USC.
And here's Maurice Wells. He's ridden down by Lee.
I think Ohio State will be at 1. I think Boston College will be at 2. I think LSU this week will be at 3. And I think Oregon has a shot, right in, depending on how the polls come out, they'll be right there with Oklahoma.
If Arizona State... If Arizona
depending on what happens with Arizona State.
You know, we want to welcome a new member of the family. You know, you may have noticed that Brian Movelson is not with us tonight, not spotting. His wife, Catherine, gave birth to a young boy. And Wednesday night, I believe it was, William has joined us.
All is good.
Exactly.
Mom's good. He's happy. He'll be back next week?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I want to congratulate the Mobilesons on the newest member. And William joins Meredith, Catherine, Brian, and the dog, Mac. Can't overlook Mac. So there is first down for the Buckeyes and into the red zone here.
Before we sign off here, I want to go to a quote that Malcolm Jenkins came out and talked about this week. The local media in Columbus asked Ohio State often about the Florida hangover, how much motivation did it provide, and not only did that game change people's perspective of us, but also the entire Big Ten. A lot of people don't really respect the Big Ten anymore. They can only do what we control, and that's winning our football games. And I think that's what the incentive is for this team. They have a slogan this year, and it's called Never Satisfied. And it's all about the way the season ended against Florida. And you got to believe that that fire burning inside them goes back to that night in the desert. And you got to believe the way they played tonight, they're going to continue to play with great motivation in their last 3 games.
You know, on another note regarding Jim Tressel, one of his dear friends, former coaches, Bob Packard. He was a coach for 20 years at Baldwin Wallace and longtime assistant to Jim's father, Lee. And he coached Jim, and he was a position coach. And he passed away up in the Cleveland area, and our condolences go out to the Packard family. Services, we understand, are in Cleveland tomorrow. And Bob Packard was a very dear friend of the Tressel family. And so here now on second down, we will now send it down below to Lisa.
Well, Brent, just to add to what Kirk was talking about, how deeply the fire burns for this Ohio State team. It burns deeply for the offense as well. Right tackle Kirk Barton, he wears his Big Ten ring. The Big Ten ring that they give you for winning the Big Ten, he wears it every now and then, but only for one reason, and the reason is to remind him of the failure that they had last year. So winning the Big Ten, that is an achievement, but not for this Ohio State team.
And you know, Lisa, I believe despite what Ohio State did tonight, and even if they're able to win their last 3 games, there still will be multiple doubters throughout the whole country. People do not believe in this team.
Especially in the SEC part of the world.
Yep,
I mean,
absolutely.
you know what? I can understand that.
Yep.
I don't have any quarrel with those people. No, I really don't. But keep in mind that over their last 19 games, I want to talk about Penn State now a second. Over their last 19 games in this facility, Joe Paterno's team is 18-1. Only loss during that time came at the hands of Michigan. So this was not an easy venue. Game may have looked a little bit easy, but the Buckeyes came in here. Remember, they fell back 7-3, quickly scored, kind of kept the crowd relatively quiet. It certainly wasn't like it was a couple of years ago for that whiteout. This is the first time since, well, it's been the first time in 18 years, Kirk, that a #1 team has visited here. Lou Holtz brought the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame in here. And the Irish are a big winner that day, and so now it's been that long, and the Buckeyes are going to come away. As the Buckeyes now going to use a timeout here. We'll take a break. Not to be for 80-year-old Joe Paterno and his team here tonight. So while we're away, Kirk Herbstreit said, and the punter for Ohio State has not made the field tonight. I said, yes, he has. And I said, he's kicked off every time after they score. But they haven't punted once. You're right. Yeah,
three field goal attempts and a bunch of touchdowns.
And here's a 35-yarder. Praetorius had a 50-yarder to start the night. This would give him 3 for 3 as he rips that one through, and 37-10. Jim Tressel and the Buckeyes, 3 field goals and no punts. So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll start to wrap up the last 3/3. And we're back in what has become a little bit of an unhappy valley. 37-10. The Buckeyes crushing the Nittany Lions right now with 3:30 remaining here, and some of the most loyal fans in all of college football have surrendered and are headed for the exits, and you don't see that a whole lot.
No. No.
Not here.
A lot of Scarlets, too, in the stands.
Oh, yeah, because they brought a nice contingent over there in the end zone. I
saw him in the corner there.
I saw Laurinaitis' father. So little animal had the big animal here, right? Over there. Is that the original animal, right? Over there.
The greatest Ohio State fans are the fans that travel with the team. Very vocal and loyal.
And Wallace going to try another one. Cuts the daylight. 40. Midfield. 30. Breaking for the end zone. Touchdown. A.J. Wallace from Waldorf, Maryland. Gave the Lion a little burst of energy as he goes 97 yards with the kickoff, and that'll give the Trestle gang something to work on next week.
You could bet they'll review this a few times. But A.J. Wallace is a sophomore, highly touted recruit. Tom Bradley told me yesterday, he said, in the last 2 weeks, I've leaned on him. I've challenged him, and he's responded. This has been the first chance tonight for him to show what he is capable of doing, but he's become very committed, much harder worker in practice and doing the little things right, and this time it pays off for him on a big return. Good speed in the open field.
Yeah,
wow.
Indeed. I think Andre Amos and the rest of them, they couldn't get a lick on him.
Still on the try.
So they bring it back to the 8-yard line. Joe saying, where was that a little bit earlier, huh? Yeah, great moment for the young man, though. Kelly adds the extra point. We'll take a break as the Buckeyes are going to win their 19th straight Big Ten game here tonight. Well, thanks to our camera crew again tonight for providing you all with these great pictures. And we were a little bit short-handed. One of our cameramen, Jeff Clare, who lives out in Malibu, was home all week defending his home. And, folks, it's the only house still standing on his block, we are told. And he was out there battling away. And he said it's such a lonely feeling, and without the neighbors around, he said, I'm very happy that our home was saved, but I feel for my neighbors and friends, and don't we all around the country feel for what happened last week out in Southern California as we take a look at the Pacific Life game summary, Kirk.
Well, Ohio State took control early and often. It started with the defense being able to get some turnovers. And, one of the things that Malcolm Jenkins, as a leader of this team, wanted to do is create not only turnovers, but opportunities to score off of them. And that's what they've done in the second half. But Todd Beckman has been the player of the game. He's made throw after throw. The Buckeyes have given him time to throw, but he has distributed around. Ray Small made a few plays. Brian Rubisky and Brian Hartline. Number of targets throughout this game for Todd Beckman.
So Maurice Wells ridden down by Lee. And, of course, a reminder that speaking of what went on in Southern California, stay tuned for your late local news around the country immediately after the game over most of these ABC stations. And over on ESPN, SportsCenter will have post-game analysis along with all the scores and highlights of the day. Those of you who missed Oregon beating USC up in Eugene, that'll be one of the lead stories. And, of course, Kansas remaining unbeaten at Texas A&M. Texas coming back to defeat Nebraska. They'll have all those stories plus the World Series, and the Red Sox appear headed for a 3-0 stranglehold on the Colorado Rockies, and they'll have all the latest on that. Here's Maurice Wells, a couple yards short of the first down mark.
Start to think about what Ohio State has remaining. We touched on it. Illinois still at home. Wisconsin at home. Two teams that at times have played some pretty good football. Got to believe Ohio State will be a favorite in both those games. And then in the year on the road against Michigan in Ann Arbor, and they don't have the conference championship game. So 3 games remaining for Ohio State. Sitting there at number 1, if they run the table, they'll get an opportunity again to get back to the national championship game. And who would have thought that when the season started? You're placing Heisman Trophy winner, a couple first-round picks. A lot of weapons off this team, and they've just picked up the pieces and continued forward with Jim Tressel.
What I like is that they used it to fuel the desire for this season, and there is their remaining schedule that Kirk mentioned to you. And of course the Michigan game, I believe this year, will be at noon up in Ann Arbor on the 17th, and already ABC of course has scheduled full coverage of what again figures to be a great game. If we go back to the Florida game and we think about the team that beat Jim Tressel, let's talk about some of the elements. First of all, there was a terrific coach. Urban Meyer puts together a game plan that has bedazzled more than just Jim Tressel and the Buckeyes that night. But he had two defensive ends who got upfield in a hurry, and they really took Troy Smith's game completely away from him on that particular night. They then had two quarterbacks that they ran out on the field. Mobility, when they brought Tim Tebow out against them, there were a lot of things, a lot of weapons the Gators had that night.
I also think it was a mindset. Ohio State for 50 days heard about how wonderful they are and how they were going to dominate Florida. You look at the BCS, there have been 9 BCS championship games. You'll like this. 7 of the 9, the underdog, after hearing about how bad they are for 50 days, has won the game. 7 out of 9. And whoever goes into that championship game as number 2 is the underdog, seems to win the game. They get tired of hearing about how they don't have a chance.
Yeah, they were much too great an underdog, Florida, in that game. I would certainly agree with that. Well, here are Chevrolet players of the game, and in recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each University General Scholarship Fund. Todd Beckman, growing up as a quarterback, threw for 253 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that 1 interception. And Dan Connor. So Beckman is down below, and let's send you to Lisa.
Well, Todd, before the game, Coach Tressel was saying that this was going to be a big test for you. How do you think you did?
Well, we came in and handled the pressure. It was a hostile environment, and I think we played pretty well overall.
And for you in this hostile environment, I mean, what was it like for you not being able to hear early on?
I think the key to the game was we had to go there and get some points on the board early, and I think we did that, and we quieted the crowd down a little bit, and it worked out. Compared
to how you thought this game would go, how did it go for you?
I think we just kept on pushing. We kept on fighting, kept on putting points on the board. Our defense did a great job having those turnovers, and we got W. That's all that matters.
Now, at what point in the game did you really just feel, I don't care where we are, I feel really comfortable?
Midway through that third quarter or whatever, we kept on putting those points on the board. We scored down there in the end zone, and then Malcolm had an interception for touchdown, and that's when it started happening.
All right, thanks a lot, and congratulations to you.
Well, a reminder, folks, that NASCAR's on the air on ABC at 1 o'clock tomorrow, and we'll come back to wrap this game up in just a moment. Ohio State beats Penn State 37-17. The #1 team in the nation remains unbeaten and atop the Big Ten Conference. Quarterback Todd Beckman, 19 of 26 for 253 yards, 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. And running back Beanie Wells rushed 25 times for 133 yards. For Kirk Herbstreit and Lisa Salters, I'm Brent Musburger. We hope you've enjoyed watching ESPN on ABC. So long, everybody.
This has been a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.